Yes, pour moi, for me, for you. Standing at Windsor Park, who of course bring us off the track. Mark Chittick is our guest here today, and we've moved on to Daffodil because obviously she found herself back at Waikato Stud Spring and she became a mother and she produced a horse to no excuse needed.
Yeah, and she was a nice filly, and as I say, you know, nice family. We have a bit of a policy of keeping at least a couple of fillies out of our best and better families. And it broke her in, and we decided we have a great relationship with the Greys and Kevin Gray, and obviously he'd trained legs for us to win a couple of Group 1s before Daffodil. So Daffodil went down to Kevin, and oh man, she was a lot of fun to race. She was just so honest and so tough, and had so much ability,
and gave you so much joy too.
Yeah, she certainly did. She certainly did. On the day that she won the AJC Oaks, I was home at that stage, but. You know, the day started with Bird winning the War Step Stakes, and then Vision and Power, who we bred, winning the Doncaster, and then on to Daffodil winning the AJC.
Just a normal day in the life of Waikato Stud.
Well, it wasn't a normal night, I can tell you.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I mean, we're going to watch Daffodil here get home, but it's interesting you say about that, because one thing that's always intrigued me, not intrigued me, but I think it's a credit to you as a stud, that you have the ability to retain some and race some and also have success at the sales. I mean, is there not a perception out there sometimes that you keep the best and sell the rest? I mean, how have you managed to do this?
Well, I suppose if we knew who all the best, which ones were all the best ones, we would have kept Starcraft, and we would have originally kept Sacred Falls, and we would have kept all those good horses that we've bred and sold. But no, look, we produce a lot of them, and at the end of the day, we really enjoy our racing. But what has worked for us is, out of our nice mares, keeping those fillies, and it's a costly exercise. It's a very costly exercise, keeping them and then racing them. But at the end of the day, each year we usually seem to be able to upgrade a few of them, which keeps those families going. And we've actually just purchased a handful of mares just lately, but that's just in the last few months. But other than that, we wouldn't have bought a lot of mares for the last 5 or 6 years, you know.
Yeah, because, as you say, because you've had that success. But obviously, people are having success with what they buy off you, or they wouldn't come back.
Yeah, certainly. And as I say, we do produce the numbers, and
so how many mares you got at the moment that you're breeding from the start?
Oh, it's getting pretty close to 200.
200? Okay. Hey, 2012, significant for you, is that Gary said, OK, time for me to really step back. Mark, here's your opportunity. Mark Chittick, you are now Waikato Stud. Big decision.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, at the end of the day, obviously it was leading that way, and I'm very fortunate that he recognised that it's a situation that he wanted to deal with while he was still around, and I've got to be very, very thankful for that. And to be honest, it was a great transition, and really not a lot has changed. We've worked together for 20 or 30 years or whatever it was. But
had you arguments?
Oh yeah, not too many. Not too many. No, last year it came up a couple of times when this process was going on, but there's one that we both probably remember. I think it's the same one. But
argument?
Yeah.
You want to enlighten me?
I think it's the same one. But anyway, our whole family, we are good mate. And at the end of the day, when I say work together, it's not like work to us. It's our life, it's our passion, and at the end of the day, not a whole lot's changed. And certainly over the last few months, you know, Gary's really sort of stepped back in just to help out under the current circumstances, and I'm very, very fortunate that can happen.
We'll touch on it, but geez, I tell you what, you have grabbed it with both hands, this stud, because you haven't sat back and said, oh, we'll just let things meander along. You go out and get rock and pop.
No, we haven't sat still for the last certainly for the last 12 months. But we made a concerted decision, all of us, at the end of the day, which way are we going to go here. You know, the world's a little bit tricky. The horse industry's just a little bit tricky at the moment. But at the end of the day, the old story: when everyone turns right, you turn left. And at the end of the day, it is the best place in the world to breed horses.
Everybody's selling, you start buying. And this horse here, Son of Fastnet Rock, one of the boom sires, as we all know, in Australasia at the moment. You pick him up. Rock and pop. This was a nice win, wasn't it?
It was a really nice win, and this was one of the reasons that we really identified this horse. And I happened to go with one of the previous shareholders, actually, Tom Lowry, to see the horse just before he went to Australia to Gay Waterhouse's stable, and saw him, and lovely type. I hadn't seen him as a yearling when he'd made the $1 million and that sort of thing. Obviously I had too much on my plate, but at the time myself. But saw him, lovely horse, good turn of foot in the 2,000 guineas, and we just started chipping away, buying into him at that stage.
Okay. Ocean Park. See, we all, probably in the industry, when he became available, we understood, after the Dubai situation, there was going to be going to stud. We all probably anticipated that Windsor Park was the likely home of Ocean Park. It wasn't the case. Mark Chittick says, no, Waikato Stud are going to get him.
Yeah, well, it probably wasn't like that at all. And at the end of the day, Ocean Park is standing at Waikato Stud, but I really do emphasise the support that we've had from New Zealand, including Windsor Park and a lot of the major farms.
You've done a Savabeel with him.
Yeah, we've certainly done a Savabeel, but it's probably been even more so than Savabeel, because some of the original owners of Savabeel that raced him stayed in at the time, whereas the original owners of Ocean Park and Gary Hennessy and Andrew and Stephen from Hong Kong, they have stayed in him for a percentage, but the rest has been syndicated throughout New Zealand. And I said that we had the job done on Savabeel in a day and a half. This guy was within 12 hours. It was incredible. In fact, I did have to go back to Gary and with my cap in hand sort of thing, and get it and cut their percentage back a wee bit to cater for everyone. Oversubscribed, yeah.
Isn't that great? And doesn't that vindicate the decision to grab him, to get him? Yeah,
certainly. And as I say, we're always proactively looking, and at the end of the day, we do believe these are the sort of horses that we have to have in New Zealand and at Waikato Stud. And to have, Gary was fantastic to deal with, Gary Hennessy, and to have got that over the line. Obviously, he was disappointed at the time that the horse was not going to be racing on, because he just said that this horse had so much in front of him.
He beat an outstanding field here.
Outstanding field, and he's the first horse ever to have won 4 Group 1s, culminating in the Cox Plate.
All 3, first, second and third, they're going to stud this year.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And they are top horses. And Gary and Jenny did a wonderful job with Ocean Park. But he arrived at the stud 10 days or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and he's just fitted in like a hand in a glove.
You see, the other thing we shouldn't lose sight of, and people within the industry may or may not know, that Lisa hasn't been well. And you've had to contend with this as well as growing the business of Waikato Stud.
Yep, had a few things over the last couple of months, but the Ocean Park deal going on at this time here, it was something that I could really get my teeth into.
It was a bit of a distraction for you.
Yeah, focus. Obviously, I've got a lot to focus on at the moment, but to focus on that at that time was great. And no, everything's onwards and upwards right at the moment.
Yeah, we got the kids, the 3 kids. Who's who?
We've got George on the left there, Charlotte on the right, and Harry in the middle there. And that was only just taken 2 weeks ago at our Waikato Stud midwinter Christmas party. So
she's looking well, Lise.
Yeah,
going well.
Yeah,
remaining positive.
Yep. Huge, great. She's very, very tough, and it's wonderful.
Sacred Falls.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Obviously, he's a horse that we bred, and from a wonderful family, and just showed that he had immense ability. Sold him at Karaka and Raffles and Dato and Bruce, Sherwin bought him, etc. And
you secured him just before the Donko, or
it was a wee way before that.
Yeah.
It was a wee way before that. Obviously, I've been chipping away at Dato and Bruce for a wee while. My belief is that this horse is the closest galloper that I've seen, the closest galloper to O'Reilly since O'Reilly as a mover. I mean, that Dart Hawke's Bay in particular, when he fell over at the start,
picked himself up and won. Yeah.
Just massive, and a tough win in the 2,000 guineas as well, and then to go on here. And at the end of the day, his first couple of starts in Australia, he ran into wet tracks, draws, various things like this. That day was his. I did believe was his day, and
to come from where he did to win. I know he may have got the charm run to some extent, but it was an impressive performance.
They still have to be able to do it, and at the end of the day, his times on the day, his sectionals on the day were
You'll go to stud next year?
Yeah, he will. Yeah, he will. And thoroughly looking forward to that. And Dato and all his family, and Bruce and Raffles and that, they're fantastic to deal with. They really are. And Guy Mulcaster involved, and obviously Tony Pike and Chris Waller. The whole situation has worked out, and I was so proud of that horse winning that Doncaster that day for everyone.
You know, it's a hell of an operation you've got now. You've got 200 odd mares, 8 stallions. You must have just managing that, but the staff, the infrastructure, you must have a hell of a team around you.
Yeah, it's certainly grown and grown immensely over the last few years. But I pride ourselves in the sort of where we hold ourselves and the quality that we produce and the operation that we run. I still like being very hands-on. I'll still be in the breeding shed sort of as much as I can be, as long as I can be. I'll still be in the foaling paddock because I love those two aspects of the farm, and all of my 30-odd staff, most of them report directly to me, but I have just made a concerted effort over the last few months to put a team in around me to help me with it, because it was obviously becoming
especially everything else going on.
Everything else going on. It's a very big job, and I've got to be very, very thankful to all of the staff that I've got there, but certainly the senior staff that I've got around me at the moment. And some of those guys have been there a long, long time. We recognised Richard Stewart, or Darby as he's known to most of us, at the winter Christmas party the other day. It was actually 26 years at Waikato Stud, but we said he'd had 1 year off for a broken leg or something, so we're saying 25.
Yeah. You're big into hospitality. I talk to the Australians that come over to visit the studs, and you talk to them, they still buzz coming to Waikato Stud and going to your shooting range and everything else, that unique area that you've created there.
Yeah, well, and that was sort of a bit of a chance sort of happening, really, game gully as we call it. I'm passionate about my shooting and also about having people around, and that I do enjoy it. And that started off as a little situation for a few mates that have the same interest as me, and it's grown to the situation now where we're in the not too distant future we've got the Chiefs coming out after they've won this Super 15 2 years in a row. We've had the All Blacks there. We had the New Zealand cricket team there not so long ago, and that's on top of all of the Australian trainers, etc. But it has just, by chance, I didn't sort of plan it to be that way, but it's a big part of our farm, a big part of our business now, and I like getting down there and I like having people there with me enjoying it.
Well, my friend, that's our time here on Off the Track. All I can say is I think the industry is all the better for having you part of it, and we wish you all the best for the future. In particular, all the best to Lisa.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Chittick on Off the Track.
Off the Track was brought to you by Windsor Park Stud, your first choice for stallions.